Welcome to Bright New Corner Ministry. My name is Cindy Ann Lewis Walcott, and we're studying life lessons from the Holy Bible. These lessons are for everyday holistic living. You don't have to be religious. Today, our lesson is a lesson in telling the truth, the whole truth. It's the lesson itself, the story we're going to study is about a lie, but we don't want to teach people how to lie. We want to teach you to tell the truth no matter what. And we're going to go through the circumstances that led to this lie, and we're going to talk about how we're going to mitigate those circumstances. So the lesson can be found in Genesis chapter 12, verses 13 to 19. We are still with the Abram, and he's going to be the person that we will come to know later on as Abraham, and the person we call today, most of us, most Christians and Jews, and maybe even Muslims, call Father Abram. So Abram has been called from his father's dwelling. He's on a journey with God. God's promised him to take him to a land God has prepared for him. For some reason, all along, he's going from place to place on this journey, and there's no fear reported, no situations, troubling situations reported. God's protecting him all along. God's promised that he'll take him there, he'll make him a great nation, and so on. So everything's going smoothly. All of a sudden, they come up to Egypt. Maybe at that time, Egypt is probably the most powerful empire around, and for some reason, he allowed his human nature to overwhelm the power of God in his life. He began to imagine things. He allowed fear to cripple his progress. He began to imagine what would happen when they see his wife. Now he's induced his wife to tell a lie for him. The lie she tells, or the lie they tell, has serious implications on what happens in Egypt. So now he asks his wife to say that she's his sister. In reality, she's his half-sister. But first and foremost, she's his wife. And that's what's most important going into Egypt. So he's forgotten that God had brought him through. And now he's coming up with his own solution. He's not talking to God anymore, and he's not asking God for a solution of what he foresees as a challenge. He's decided to come up with his own solution, which is to lie. And now they get into Egypt. His wife is taken into Pharaoh's house because she is a beautiful woman. So his fear is most likely what led to this situation. His actions probably led them to believe that she was a single woman. Because now he has this fear, he's probably treating her like a sister as opposed to treating her as a wife. And definitely she's a beautiful woman. So Pharaoh invites her, the princes invite her to meet the Pharaoh. And God intervenes, thank God. And the Pharaoh realized that this woman is this man's wife, as opposed to just being his sister. And Pharaoh rebukes Abram. Abram's a strong man as far as I know, and God picked him for a reason. But for some reason, he let his fear overcome his progress. He let his fear overcome all the virtues he had. And in our lives, we're gonna set out on journeys. We're gonna start projects. There are gonna be challenges. There are gonna be risks. But we always have to remember, stay true. You may need to say a prayer, invite God in, invite God, ask for God's protection, ask for God's guidance. You also would probably need the guidance of people who's done it before, or people who are knowledgeable in this field. Whatever it is, don't try and mitigate the impending challenges by creating a lie, by making a diversion that's untrue, by telling a fib. And this is what Abram did here, and the lesson here for us, because he got chastised by the Pharaoh for doing such a, what Pharaoh called a wicked thing. And I am so glad that Pharaoh observed this, and God probably also, I think God intervened too in telling Pharaoh not to touch this woman, because as the head of a country, imagine if he'd go ahead and set this precedent by taking this man's wife. That would have meant destruction for the whole country. So the lesson here for us is no matter what the situation is, tell the truth. And another thing is that when we give, even in our own lives, to start or to do a project, we're working on a project, or we have to make a decision. If we're making a decision with half the amount of information we need, half truths, we will certainly end in disaster. So this is very parallel to the lesson here. When you don't have the truth, when you don't have all the information you need, you cannot be successful in what you're doing. Do not induce people to tell lies for you. Um, you want to buy a house and you don't have the money, you don't qualify, so you get somebody to lie and say they're your tenant and up your income. It's naturally going to lead into disaster. So there are many ways we want you to tell the truth. There are probably other ways you can get help. For example, if you want to build a house or buy a house, you can probably ask a relative to co-sign for you. You can do other things. Talk to God about it rather than telling a lie. I hope you found this lesson educational. Please share this lesson with whomever you know. It may not be a lesson for you, but it will be a lesson applicable to somebody's situation out there. Also remember to like, share, and subscribe. I would like to say to hit the notification bell as well, but sometimes I put the videos up very early in the morning for people who are in Europe. So if you know you're not an early riser, don't hit the notification bell, but just go in every morning and look to see what the lesson is for that day. Thank you and have a great day. Bye bye now.